morning, good evening, and good afternoon, team enthusiasts. Welcome back to the vlog. Hope that you guys all had a very positive and productive weekend. We're like a week into January, and I don't think we've seen temperatures drop below 30 degrees. This is not me complaining. Actually, this is me saying I'm extremely pumped about that. I'm not the biggest fan of winter, to be completely honest. I like snow. If it's gonna snow all winter, then I'm completely good with it. But that rainy, cold, freezing crap that we're dealing with usually is not that good. This morning, right now, it's already 50 degrees. I feel like this is like a nice spring day, and it honestly really helps to encourage a really positive mood to just get out there and get at it. So I'd say it's safe to assume that most of you now know that I'm giving away my 2006 LBZ Duramax, the one right here behind me as you see it. I want you guys to just envision being the one that gets the phone call to say that these are going to be your new keys. Where would you go? What would you do with this truck? How would you use this truck? What's the first thing that you would do with it? Who's the first person that you would tell? Think about that excitement. Think about how that would completely change your life. To have this truck at your disposal for anything that you want to do. Well guys, what I want you to realize is that is completely possible. And I just want to remind you guys that I am not a huge sweepstakes company like you've gotten so used to seeing through Facebook and all of those other social media mediums. I'm a small YouTube channel, and the number of entries that are going to be going in for this truck are far less than that of all of those other big campaigns. So if you guys want a chance at taking this truck home, check out Enthusiast, first link in the description below. So if you guys saw my previous upload, you now know that we've got a set of 20x14 American Force Octane SS8s on this truck. Now, let me just elaborate real quickly before we jump into the main subject matter of this video. When I went out to visit Alex and my buddies that day, by no means was I actually planning on buying these wheels. Now, the title of the video might have been a little bit misleading, as it kind of seemed like from a viewer's perspective that that was planned, but I just need to reiterate that that was not planned whatsoever. The whole intent of that day was to merely make a fun video for all of you to see what 14 wides would look like on this truck. Because it's safe to assume that most of you guys are aware of the fact that I have 22x14s on my 15 LML. I call that truck the Mega Max, and I ever so accordingly named this truck the Mini Max, because it kind of fell under the wing of the big truck on the channel. So we're merely gonna just throw these wheels on this truck, produce a video for all of you guys and for my own interest to see what it looked like. But once we got the wheels mounted, there was this dynamic that kind of shifted a little bit, both with Alex and I, and we were like, holy crap, that looks really, really good. So he had basically said, do you want to take them home? And I'm like, what do you have in mind? And he's like, well, this is what I'm thinking. And needless to say, I was very interested. So things escalated quickly, and we never ended up switching the wheels back, and now, well, they're in the garage. So I can't say that I was ever the biggest fan of like the stretch tire look. Being that this is a 20-inch wheel, I get to benefit from a fatter sidewall. The 22s with the stretch tire, that makes me a little uneasy just because you're really riding on rubber bands. Whereas this configuration, yes, it is stretched just a little bit, but I have the benefit of a pretty thick sidewall, which I like. There's a comfortable barrier between that of the ground and the bottom of the lip itself on the wheel, whereas some of those other stretch tire looks, granted I think they look awesome, but for me personally, they just give me a little bit of anxiety, God forbid anything was to occur. So this, you can see, it is kind of a plumper look. It's not like it's really too stretched. And I never thought that I'd actually have a set of wheels that have somewhat stretched tires, but this look has always kind of appealed to me only because of Alex's setup. Ever since I met him, I told him that I just love that wheel and tire setup. There's just something about that 20-inch wheel with the Nitto 420 that did it for me. And I gotta say, I am extremely freaking pumped at how this thing looks. I know a lot of you guys are a little rocky, but that's okay. I mean, this is my build at the end of the day, and I kind of want to experiment with something different. Did I ever see myself owning a set of wheels that had a somewhat stretched tire? No. I figured this was a good opportunity to give it a shot. How do you know that you actually like something if you don't try? These wheels, condition-wise, are in awesome condition. It's just they need a little bit of TLC in the windows of the wheel. When you're dealing with a polished wheel, it's actually exposed aluminum that's been brought to a state in which it has kind of a polished or mirrored finish. But that definitely won't last long if I drive this truck out in the elements, especially if I expose it to any brine or any salt on the roads. These wheels will quickly oxidize because the metal is actually porous, so it will actually absorb some of those other contaminants on the road, and it will bring this nice mirror finish to a very matte and kind of crappy oxidized aluminum state. It's definitely safe to assume that going forward on this channel, you're probably going to learn some things about polishing. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to be doing the polishing, as I realize that it's a very dirty and timely process as the complexity of the wheel design. I would say that this is a rather complex design because there are 16 spoke windows in and of themselves, and you can imagine getting in here and rubbing off some of this oxidation can be quite a challenge. So I don't necessarily know what my game plan is there, but my intent is right now to try and maintain this state on this wheel for as long as I possibly can. We'll see how long that lasts. So I did just pick up a small modification for these wheels that I want to get installed today. I think these wheels were fundamentally lacking a characteristic, and that was spiked lug nuts. So I went on Amazon and picked these up. They got really good reviews, so I decided to give them a shot, not only because of what the Amazon reviews said, but also because a few friends of mine recommended these. They were like 90 bucks shipped, which wasn't that bad being that I'm a Prime member, and they come with pretty much everything that you need. Now these are not the same spike lug nuts that I have on the LML. I actually bought them from another vendor, but they were actually more than double the cost. They were about $200, and I believe they are the exact same thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these things installed in the truck real quick so that way we can kind of bring this wheel to life. Now we're talking. I'm gonna knock out the other 3 wheels here real quick, guys, and then we'll circle back. Definitely safe to say that these wheels were not complete without a set of spike lug nuts. I'm actually extremely pleased with how well the powder coating held up on these lugs. Usually the ridges of these things, but this powder coat held up extremely well. I'd say that for 90 bucks, this was well worth it. And they look freaking awesome. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the Dirty Max Jack vehicle shuffle so we can get this thing out and talk a little bit about what the subject matter of today's video is, and that is how the hell I intend on running a 14-inch wide wheel on a 3-inch drop. So now I got to play the Dirty Max Jack vehicle shuffle to make some room to get this thing out of the garage. One of you guys is going to be able to listen to that beautiful sound every single day. Good to be out in the Mini-Max. I feel like during the week, especially in the wintertime, it's tough to get these trucks out and really enjoy them because it's dark 24/7. I want to take a few minutes to talk to you guys about how it is that I plan on running a 20x14 on a 3-inch drop shackle setup. Obviously, this isn't going to be an easy feat, and it's not something that you can kind of just bolt up and go. Now, I am going right now, but I have a few limitations that I need to abide by. That first limitation being my overall turning radius. Now, before we get to those limitations, let's just chat a little bit about why it is that I want to do this. Simplistic answer is, well, it's my build, and I want to do something just a little bit different, as I had mentioned earlier in the video. Stretch tires are new for me, and lowering a truck is new for me, and running 14 wides on a lower truck is new for me, so might as well give it a shot and see how good we can do it. I'm going to state the obvious right now that this is going to require some alterations to not only the bumper, but also the cab side of the fender well. Now, I'm not going to go into all the specifics as to what the fender mod is, or the NorCal mod as it might also be referred to, because there are a slew of videos that are out on the internet that help to detail that in length that you can use as a resource if you choose to go this route with your truck. Now, my disclaimer is, yes, it's going to require some cutting, some bending, and some removal of metal, but that's the fun thing of having a project truck, is you kind of have the ability to go about it as you please, because at the end of the day, it's your money that's paying for it, so you might as well set it up the way that you want. Now, I'm in a great position because this truck's going to Sean at Peach Bottom Auto Body in just a few days, which will allow for all of those areas that become exposed with bare metal to actually get covered up in a very professional way. So all the work that's going to get done is going to look as if it came from the factory. That's the idea here, is to perform some alterations, but do it in a way that's clean and tidy and looks professional. I get the question a lot about my LML. Yes, I had to do the NorCal mod to my LML to get those 14 wides to fit in a 5-inch lift. That's just the name of the game when you go the Duramax route, because we have to deal with our beautiful square fenders. Tell me she's pulling in the diesel pump. Oh my God. And as you guys can see, I can really still navigate anything that I need to. It's not like I don't have some rub there. It's not like I don't have the ability to drive this thing. I mean, I can easily drive it around when I need to, how I need to. It's just you need to be a little bit more conscientious of some of the limitations that you have. Curious to know what you guys are paying for diesel all around the world. Here in PA, I found a station that has great prices, $3.15, whereas anywhere else in PA right now is about $3.50. This place is my go-to. So as we're filling up on fuel here, I just want to take a minute to also let all of you guys know, all those trucks that you follow on Instagram that are lowered with really wide wheels, you love the look of it, you got to realize that they too have practically no steering radius. I mean, that is just the name of the game. Don't ever convince yourself that these individuals have the ability to turn their wheels at full lock. That is just literally impossible from an engineering perspective. Now granted, if you go in there and you want to hack the ever-living crap out of your setup, you can make it work to get your full turning radius, but really, in most applications, you don't need anything more than 60 to 70% turning radius. I mean, on my big truck, I got fortunate because just with the small alterations that I did, I was able to get to about 95%. And to be honest with you, I never really need anything more than that. Whereas this truck's a little bit different. I only take it out when I need to, so I can kind of be selective as to when I'm going to use it, which to me then allows for a fine justification for the wide wheel. Now, if this was my daily driver, A, I wouldn't want 14 wides for, let's just say, obvious reasons, and B, it wouldn't be convenient to drive. So by no means am I advocating that you guys should do this because it'll work every day. Rather, if you have a vehicle that's more of a project and you want to put some wide wheels on it, kind of like I'm doing with the Minimax, then I'd say that it's a little bit of an easier sell because you have freedom of choice of when you want to drive the truck and when you don't. $53 later, we're good to go. Hey, Duramax brethren. While we're on this topic, I just want to let you guys know that these are not going to be my drag racing setup wheels by no means. So they're very much going to be my street wheels. If anything, I drive very casually when I'm on the road, and I don't need to go extremely fast all of the time. Rather, I'd like a good balance of speed, responsiveness, and looks. And really, in my opinion, a 14 wide wheel on a truck is by far the best look ever. So one day, I'm probably going to go out and grab myself a drag setup for this truck. I'll probably do like 18 by 30 cheetahs with an 18 by 10 wheel, so that way it's a lightweight wheel that will really allow us to unleash the full potential of this truck whenever we are in an environment that we can go racing in. Can't beat that view. I've already done a little bit of trimming to the front end, and honestly, it looks pretty clean. I'm not a professional by any means, but you kind of need to do what you need to do. So I think we're just gonna have to take a little bit more off of the front end if the bumper spacing is not an adequate means of obtaining the clearance that is required. On the back end, it's a little bit challenging. So as you guys can see here, there's a lot of room behind this fender liner, and it looks like I was rubbing this fender liner just a little bit. Now, this was the real easy side because when I took this fender liner out, there was literally dirt that was caked all the way up into here. And inside that was my fender, or what was my fender, and you could see my total crap job of kind of trying to make do, but I couldn't leave this hanging down with the 20 by 12s. Now, we are going to be doing some things with these over fenders to make that job not look as crappy. I'm going to admit right now that that looks like absolute crap, but it was kind of necessary. But we'll be able to kind of heat this up and mend this back enough to where I'll be able to gain a significant amount of clearance in the cab side, which I think will enable us to get the turning radius that is perfect for the daily driver use case. You'd honestly be very surprised at how easy it is to obtain the clearance that you need with minimal working required, and that goes to another theme. A lot of you guys ask me, all right, hey Jack, what setup do you advise? And that brings me to the topic of researching your setup. Guys, it's imperative that you go out and you do an extensive amount of research before you actually buy, whether it's anything suspension related, if you're deciding to lower, level, or lift. In my case, I've got one of each, the low, the lifted, and the leveled. And then what you can fit based on your wheel and tire desires. Kind of rhymes, that's a pretty good one. Pat myself on the back for that. This would be an extreme case. That is a pretty extreme case. Any 14 wide wheel, a truck that's not lifted to the sky is a pretty extreme case that would require a lot of extracurriculars. Whereas if it's a conservative stance that you're looking for to get a little bit of poke, but the optimum drivability, a 12 wide would probably be your best bet. Man, that lighting is awful, but we're gonna ride it out. So at this point, guys, this vlog is effectively over. I wanna thank everybody for the continued support. You guys are all absolutely awesome. Without all of you, none of this would be possible, and I can't wait to show you guys what we have in store for 2019. So, if you're a new visitor to the channel and you haven't subscribed, I encourage you to do so. You probably won't regret it. If you haven't liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Check out the Duramax giveaway, and I'll see you all in the next upload. Fly,